So before we hop into the topic at hand, I want to let you guys know that I'm giving away a copy of Destiny 2 for the platform of your choosing. There's a few ways to enter. If you are interested, do it down below. It's in the comment section or the description of the video. So, plug aside. Don't act like you don't like me plugging you. There's going to be a sea of politeness in the comment section. This is going to be great. So I'm urging you guys to get interactive with this video and let me know down in the comment section below what are the most valuable subclasses in Destiny 2 for PvP. Exclusively for PvP. A lot of these would actually go up the list if we're talking about PvE, but I will also address some of the benefits for PvE to kind of give you guys an understanding. So consider this an overall assessment of the subclasses to help guide you guys in the decision making on which sort of character to start with first when the game launches. Yes, Arcstriders, I'm talking about you guys. So number one on my list, and to no surprise for PvP, is the Striker. This is the most dominant by far in the category. The shields are very useful, even more valuable in something like competitive where you can zone with the shields because it basically drains you to no health as soon as you work into it. I learned how to incorporate that into my gunfights. Another big asset to this is the double grenades at start. This is huge, very good for zoning, and pulse grenades do a great job at that. Even if you're not hitting them directly, they can do nothing about destroying them, and there's a lot of vibration in the surrounding area. Very good for zoning and dealing with objectives. The same thing with lightning grenades. You got two of those. You can completely lock down an objective by yourself, and they are very heavy hitting as well. I like those a lot, and the flashbang grenades are very interesting too as they disorient enemies. So one of those well-placed flashbang grenades can pretty much guarantee you a complete team wipe on an objective if they're gathered there. Very, very effective grenades from this kit. And not to mention the roaming super, which is just... super. It is ridiculously strong. You can go in there. I don't know how many team wipes I've had because of this, and it lasts really long. I don't want to be that guy to say it's too strong, but it's just the total package here. It truly and honestly is. Number two on my list, Dawnblade. Now, I did spend a lot of time playing with this because it's just not my personal flavor, but it really does have crazy potential. Now, I want to talk about the Warlock in general. This is something you guys may not have picked up on, but I guarantee it by the time Trials comes around a week into the game, you guys are going to start seeing a lot of Dawnblade and Voidwalker. The reason for this is strictly because of Blink. Now, Blink, I was a big voice in the community back in Destiny 1. These kind of mobility advantages are crucial, and now when the game's a bit more balanced and it's about cooldowns, whether it's your grenade, melee, or supers, something like a mobility advantage is huge, and for it to be exclusive for one certain class is a flaw. This is a problem, and it's the only thing I dislike about PvP. With the slower time to kill, you can pretty much get out of any situation with that. No other class can do that. When you get stuck in a 2v1, that's your fate. That's your ass, and it's over, but you can just blink away forever. I mean, I believe two of them are instantly available, and like 2 seconds later, a third one. So you can just chain and basically disappear from the equation, and it's way too strong, and unlike some of the other things, it doesn't have a ridiculous cooldown. This advantage can be used and played on throughout the entire duration of a game. You can blink 100 times, getting you in and out of things, what makes it a really, really powerful tool for an aggressive player. It allows you to get to the back line, and is pretty much the only way to confidently lone wolf in this game. And I hate to be the guy that says, hey, that's not good, because if this is the only way to lone wolf, then it should stay in the game. But it honestly is too big a factor for them to not do something. They need to tone it down, and I hate to be the guy to call for nerfs, but that's what betas were intended for, to identify things and talk about it. And it may not seem like a big deal for you, but give it a couple weeks. When you start seeing it in full force, it's going to get a little annoying. Now, back on track, Dawnblade. Absolutely amazing super. It's very destructive. It's got range, it's got potency, it's got AoE in immediate close quarters. The super itself is just great. The dodging as well. Extra mobility on top of the blink. Lots of good things going for it, and fire bolts are amazing. Couple that with the healing well. Hoo-wee! This thing is really a great lone wolf package. Warlock is the way to go if you're one of those guys that likes to roam and doesn't have to rely on a team, which is pretty crucial in this current game. Number 3 on the list, and to no surprise, would be Voidwalker. I absolutely love this. I would consider myself a main Voidwalker. The super is great to shut down, not to mention the way that Shaxx reacts when you shut him down is so juicy. One of the few ways you can shut down other supers with ease. And, of course, charging up the grenades. I love leading into objective fights with that charged grenade. I pick up double and triple kills almost every time I throw that Axion bolt. It is very, very strong. And, again, it has all the other benefits that the Dawnblade has. The high mobility, the blink, the healing well to get you in and out of fights. It's got a lot of sustain. So even though I'm loving Voidwalker and it's my personal favorite, I'm willing to admit it's probably third on the list of most potent and available options for PvP. Now, debuting in the 4th slot, Hunter for the first time coming in with the Gunslinger. The super is really the key to this. It's very, very effective. Unlike many of the other supers that are more roaming supers, this one has a little bit of an edge with range and distance. You can spam and spray a lot more consistently, and I've had a handful of wipes because of this. There's been multiple times where I've dropped entire teams with this one single super. It's just a lot of bursts in a quick, short period, and it's good in both close and medium range, and I adore this feature for that. I've also learned to love the throwing knife. I don't use it as much as I used to before as direct impact. I now use it for a more tactical purpose because it explodes now. Basically, when somebody's hiding behind something, I want to maybe delay the regeneration or even take some shots and maybe weaken them before our engagement begins. I use this to lead and initiate fights now, and the knife is actually very valuable. The only downfall with the super is that it doesn't really handle other supers like the roaming ones because they're a little too tanky, where this one's still quite vulnerable to gunfire, so it's a little easier to be countered. And it doesn't have a whole lot of utility. Its grenades are kind of mediocre. They're decent. I love the incendiary personally, but this kit isn't very strong. And it doesn't hold up to the other three in my opinion, but it's still fun to use if you're going to be a hunter. Now, 5th on my list for PvP is the Sentinel, and this one is just a good roaming one, but it's also kind of like a hybrid. It's a passive slash defensive one, but when you want to use it, you can be very, very strong with it. And it's not a bad one by any means. It still has the benefits of the shield that the Striker has. It just doesn't have that aggression that you're looking for compared to what is the best one in the game currently. And a reminder, this is beta. All of this is subject to change. It could have already been changed and ready to launch with the Destiny 2 premiere. Now, the other part is worth mentioning. Again, if Striker's the best for PvP, this one's got shielding and availability to push lanes. It's pretty good for PvP, but also going to be very, very good for PvE. We know what shields and stuff have done in the past for other experiences. So, if you haven't caught wind, I'm recommending people to start Titan. And it's not a bad decision to go with the Warlock at all. The healing well is going to be very good for PvE and, of course, PvP. So there's a lot of potential for both of those. Last on the list, and probably no surprise, is Arc Strider. This super is very lacking. You combine this with the dodge, which I conveniently forgot to mention with the Hunter because it's so damn cool and useful for the kit. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. It's just lacking in very strong areas where the other ones don't have that issue. Striker, Titan, Warlock, whatever, they have an ability that's very good for utility and teamwork. They got the shields to protect, they got the healing to keep the sustain alive and put the pressure on. That's going to be huge for both PvE and PvP. The dodges are absolutely useless for this game. I mean, you can kind of use the reload one aggressively if you're a strong person, but it's not going to come into play, not near as much as the other ones. So at the end of the day, that's a big miss in Strike against the Hunter class, and it's kind of a disappointment, but I honestly and truly would recommend you guys to resist the temptation of starting with the Hunter on Destiny 2 launch. The Titan and, of course, the Warlock are much wiser decisions with everything going forward. And until they do something about the ability and somewhat buff those other ones, they're not going to be near as viable as the 4 others in the game. So thank you guys for watching. Stay tuned, subscribe, check out the Twitch. I will catch you guys as soon as this game launches in a few days. See you there, bitches.